was still an upgraded model from the $3,000. And this thing, if you put on an album, and anybody dead, if you put on an album, like if I put on Billie Holiday, she will come into the damn house. You see, because the not only LP is sophisticated, but the receiver is so sophisticated, they don't even remember. People used to go in the army to go get the receivers. I'm going in the army to get some. That's because they got shit that they don't sell in this country. Why? Because they'll tell you that they'll tell you it's 100 watts. Don't sell no 100 watts in this country. They'll tell you it's 100 watts. And in America, they'll give you 30 watts or 40 watts and call it 100 watts. So I had to get this one in through Canada. So on Beltane is Mayday. Mayday, the witches deal with all that. On Beltane, we played some music, and we put on some Tina Marie music, and she came to the house. She said, "No, I want you to play me for a minute." And so I got 5,000 albums. So I have to try to dig out the albums. It's interesting here. Whenever I might have played one album, but the other 5,000, the other albums was mixed in with the 5,000 albums. But for some reason, every time one of them spirits come, those albums are always in a stack that I can find. James Brown did that one time. You see what I'm saying? James Brown did that one time. You see what I'm saying? But she came to the house, and I played like 7 of her LPs. She was there. So that's how we deal with this whole spirit thing. With the healing and everything, but music is melanin put to scale. It is our DNA put to scale. You see what I'm saying? Now, what you can do, if you got a CD, the best thing to do is to take a CD and play it in a DVD player. Because a DVD put back certain programs. You see that have DST, that have Dolby, they have about 5 different systems. MP3, and what they have done, they put back some of the things because they need all those special items so the DVD can read itself in the visual aspect. So they had to put back certain things and all. So if you're going to play a CD, play it through a DVD player and you get a better quality. And then what you want to do, you don't have to go get you got a DVD player. So you don't have to go and get a $3,000 system. You just got to go get professional headphones. So you will see Sony, then it'll have professionals. And anytime you see in the studios, they either got one that starts with an S out of Germany, professional headphones. It's not sure, it's another one, it's a longer name. And then they got Sony professionals. So if you want to tap into that melanin, only thing you need to do is play it through a CD player, or it can even be a CD Walkman or something, don't matter. Get you some Sony professional. Sony might have 10 different headphones out here. You got to get the one that Jay-Z and all them motherfuckers be in the studio. You will see this one that got blue and red on it. Yeah, you have to have, because there's certain options and stuff that you got to hear when you're in the studio. So it's either one, it's called something that's an S on the side of a one. But if you don't, you need to get the Sony professional and play the CD through a DVD player. Yeah, what's that?
That question for you, Brother Bob. My father told me the story a long time ago. You're talking about spirits earlier.
Yeah.
When my father was probably about 13, 1961, he was coming back hunting here in North Carolina. And his aunt was at the house waiting for him. So they had a conversation. So she decided to leave, and my grandfather and my grandmother came to the house 5 minutes later to tell my father that his aunt had passed away 6 hours ago. But he had just talked to her 5 minutes ago. So
yeah.
What would you call that? I mean,
now you saying that he said he had talked to her 5 minutes ago
before my grandfather and my grandmother came to the house to let him know that she had passed away 6 hours ago.
6? Oh, well, means that the spirit came. And it was a physical body?
Physical body.
Physical body, yeah, the spirit can come like that in a physical body. It can animate itself, but it's still a spirit. Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time.
So there was a lot of energy there.
Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time to warn people and stuff. People have seen, you know, it's interesting here because I knew this white boy. He would go out to the club on Friday nights. This night, he worked so hard, he was so tired. So he went in the house and fell on the bed and went to sleep. The next night, on Saturday night, when he went out to the club, everybody at the club was like, hey man, we saw you last night. You was standing across the street and we was hollering at you and you was looking at us, but you wouldn't come across the street. Why were you tripping? What was going on? He's saying 4, 5, 6 people said that to him. What had happened was when he fell asleep, he astro traveled. He must have wanted to go to the club severely, but he couldn't. His body wouldn't let it. So what he did is he astro traveled to the club, and his spirit was so intense of him wanting to go, and he was dreaming about it, so he appeared, although he was home asleep. You see, but they could see him across the street. You see what I'm saying? So that stuff, there's all kind of stuff in the spirit world. And as a matter of fact, that's what we're going to have to be. Let me show you what we're going to have to. It's already happening to us. Look, they announced 2 weeks ago that black people, based on the unemployment, are now in the Depression era. Right. 1929, they say our status right now, we're in the Depression era. But niggas are walking around like it's 1999. So obviously we have acclimated ourselves out of not having so much until it's regular shit for us. But they're saying based on our status, we are in the Depression era. You see, we just live at home with your mama, your cousin. What I don't know how we do it, but we have become such masters of it, till it's not even registering with the naked eye, but the statistics is coming out that we're in the Depression era. So obviously we have already learned how to live magically. And one of the ways how to live magically here is to cut down on your desires. See, what puts you in slavery is how much desires you have. If you can eliminate the desires, you see, who says you got to have a Mercedes? Let me tell you something about desires. Because another thing when I was up at Benedict and stuff, I used to go out to clubs and I would start plotting all day on what I was going to wear to be the center of attraction. And when I left Columbia, South Carolina to go to Atlanta, I had a bag full of fucking phone numbers of women, and I didn't know who the hell they were. Just because I took an old man advice. He said, talk to 100, you're bound to get 2. You got a lot of brothers. Now there's a lot of brothers that's looking. If you're a black man, you're looking for a woman, you don't need a dating agency. You need a psychiatrist. See what I'm saying? My oldest brother is taking school teachers to McDonald's and say, you got to look at the bottom of that list right there. That's that discount list. You go above that shit, it ain't happening. He's taking school teachers to McDonald's. That's how bad it is out here for women. So if you're a brother and you can't get a woman, you need a psychiatrist. And you say, well, how do you get a woman? You get up on her. See what I'm saying? I knew a nigga from the Nation of Islam. I said, I can't go nowhere with you, man. Because we never get nowhere. He decided he gonna talk to every woman he saw. No, stop the car. Stop the car. And that's what a South Carolina nigga used to do. We used to get up on their ass. So if you got a problem with women, it's because look, man, get up on them. Talk to 100. Bound to get 2. You see, this confidence. You see. Now, where was I? But anyway. But it's depression era. So what it is, we are dealing with the magic now. We have learned something mystical. Because they were saying, look, you white people have to turn to black people to learn how to live. Because we have mastered that shit. See what I'm saying? I don't know how, but somehow we do it. So they are showing you right now there's a separation. We are in the God realm now, although we're in the depression. But it ain't registering. Look, I walked through the Hartsfield International Airport. I used to lecture 3 times out of the month, or 2 times out of the month. So for some reason, I lectured in January in New York, and I lectured again in June in New York. I didn't have no lectures in between. By choice. Because I was going through a dimension. When I finally got back on the lecture circuit and I went through the Hartsfield International Airport, they got a big old radiation machine. Remember they was talking about these machines and everybody didn't want to go and stuff. So I already know this. What you do is you eat the radiation, you take the radiation. That's your shit. That's what that melanin is. So you neutralize it in your mind and you can go with it. But I wasn't even thinking that day. I was damn near drunk. I was staggering through there and I went into the radiation, I went into the booth, and they couldn't find me on the radar. And the woman said, you need to go back through again. I went back through again, they couldn't find me at all. She said, oh shit, this is going to be a long process and I don't feel like I'm trying to get off work now. So she said, no, you go over there and get searched by that guy over there. And me, I'm trying to get through this motherfucker before they know what's happening. So I went over there, I said, now you can put your hand all up my butt, whatever. I'm trying to get here and get on that plane. Because I know what just went down. I was in another dimension, and that radar couldn't pick me up. And I didn't want this to be an incident, you see what I'm saying, where they shut down the fucking airport. So I said, no, come on, here you go, man. Search all up, everything. And I got the hell on. But what it was in another dimension. That's what's happening now. Now this is what's happening. We had a lot of kittens, stray kittens in the back. You feed them. You never touch them. That way they're mean spiritual. They stray kittens, you feed them, or what have you. Our kittens went down to about 3 or 4 kittens and then went down to 2. And one of the little kittens ran in the house and ran up under the Urzuli altar and disappeared. Every time she'd run under the altar, she would disappear. And then a few days later, all those kittens went into another dimension. There's a big ass tree in our backyard, and they can go into another dimension in that tree. The dimensions now are around these old ass trees. That's why they get real scared about what's happening here. Stuff is around these old trees. You see what I'm saying? There's a book you need to get called Tree of Enchantment. See the name of that book. The Tree of Enchantment. Let me see what the name of it is. Bear with me one. It's by Orion Foxwood. Tree of Enchantment by Orion Foxwood. Okay. Any more questions? Because I'm going to go into this other science in a few minutes. But any questions? Yeah.
What is this feeling like? You're walking or you're sitting and you feel like you try to do something or try to get something, you feel like wobbling or you got your moving too fast before you fall. Like I'm going to reach to that, I go get it before I can get to it.
That's all those are dimensions. See, the speed and everything is breaking down now. We are living in a world that's actually gone. Did you see the Ebony magazine? The one, I got it right here. There's an Ebony magazine. I'll show you the one to get. I think I got it. It's an Elevator magazine. It had a movie Jumping the Broom on. The movie Jumping the Broom about 2 months ago. In there they say 300,000 people of color disappeared last year. They just disappeared. 300,000 people of color disappeared last year off the planet. No, it might have been in this country. In this country, people are missing. There's a movie you need to get rent called The Vanishing on 7th Street. The Vanishing on 7th Street. What's that?
It's a movie out when you spoke about the old tree, about this, it was during the Nazi era, about a young, I don't know what you're Polish or whatever, but she was going to this tree and dealing with the,
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah,
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
They talked about the tree. Yeah, all that. These trees, these old trees, see, the trees are some of the oldest things on the planet. And so this new world is coming in through these trees. Now the animals can go in and out. The animals can go in and out. So this stuff is breaking up. We just got to learn to live spiritually and stop taking this world literally. You see what I'm saying? Stop taking this world literally. What's that?
You was talking about only eating once a day.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to me. It's like some days I can't go past once a day. So I just can't eat past.
Now you're not supposed to because
someone told me no.
That's called your light body. Your light body is rising, is gaining more power. And the more you eat, the more sluggish you feel because you vibrating at higher levels. So the less you eat, the more you vibrate.
And that looks like Stargate. I think that's where they got that from.
Yeah, the more you eat, the more you you vibrate. Now take for instance, throwing up is good. Anybody ever throw up? When you throw up, your third eye starts pulsating. All I got to do to throw up is bend down for a few minutes. And there's a nozzle, there's a chakra down that it cuts on. And it eliminates things. If you notice, like down in Peru and in Africa, when they want you to go on a spiritual journey, they have to give you some, if they're going to drink they're going to smoke the peyote, they're going to smoke this, the ayahuasca, they're going to do some other stuff that they have in Africa. The first thing they do is they give you this root, and it's a root you take, and it throws up everything in your body. That's because that's a chakra. See, Melanin talked about that. He said that's a chakra down there, it's a nozzle. And when you do it, your third eye, start pulsating. So it is good to throw up sometime. You see, and so what's getting ready to happen is this. Then it's going to get to the point where as there's so much energy coming in, and your spirit is rising at a certain level, so you're going to throw up anyway. And sometimes it ain't about what you eat. It's about a certain energy and stuff, and your body is trying to purge itself so it can get that energy. So it can get that energy and stuff. So it is good to do that. Let me go into a couple other things. There's an angel. They have these gods that you see. They used to have these ancient gods in pre-dynastic time. And then when younger generations would come, they would always make the ancient god into the devil. Only because they didn't understand the history or the knowledge of the ancient god. So one man's god becomes another man's devil. So one of the most ancient gods is a god called Belial. It comes from a god called Baal. And Baal is another form of a god, Set. See, you got pre-dynastic Set that ruled long before the other ones. Then you have, from Set, you got one part of the Samaria, you got Ash, you got Baal, you got Belial, then you got Beelzebub, and later on it was reduced to the devil. The one called Belial is also pronounced Belial. There's a movie called Dylan Dog. Gonna be coming on video very soon. Guy that played the last Superman movie played in it. It's called Dylan Dog. And they got an artifact that they're trying to use so that they can bring back one of the Earth's original gods. They'll either call him Belial or they'll call him Melanin. When they bring this God back, he comes back through Tay Diggs. Anybody know Tay Diggs? Yeah. Now Tay Diggs is a black. When this thing came back through Tay Diggs, it made Tay Diggs look light skinned. So in this movie, they would do a ritual to bring back this ancient god that used to be, he's an ancient form of Set, Ash, Baal, Belial. They got several names, but they're bringing back one of the most ancient gods, or the most ancient god. And when they brought him back, he was 10 times blacker than Tay Diggs. And they brought him back through Tay Diggs. So what they were doing a ritual. They was doing a ritual. They always do these rituals. They always do these rituals. Now, let me go into this right now. Let me go into this right now. Okay, this is one of the great mysteries. In 1935 or 1933, one of them, 35, 33, whatever, you can get the history of it. But I want to show you this. In the 1930s, two people got transmissions and came up with this comic book character. This comic book character. One of them is Superman. The original name wasn't Superman, but the spirit world gave him Superman because if they would have put this out in comic books, they would have been dealt with. Because in European masonry, not black masonry, not no Prince Hall and drinking liquor and driving a cab, fish fries, and I got a little light, letting the light shine, and 33 years of Jesus. We're not talking about no Buffalo Fred Flintstone Club. We challenge anybody to say Prince Hall got any damn thing to do with anything mystical or ancient. But it's spiritual now. It's spiritual. It's just not this. You just don't get me wrong now. The shit is spiritual. You know, they talk about we the first motherfucker got a charter over here. Remember they were talking about that story? The white man throwed his charter in the water. Lost the Tea Party. So now it's spiritual. Don't get me wrong. The Prince Hall is spiritual, but it's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not that type of thing where they're dealing with the star Sirius. And the star Sirius is on the lodge or every door or every white mason. The star Sirius is on the lodge. So they had to name this thing Superman because the original concept was the star Sirius. The star Sirius. So Superman and the star Sirius. Remember I say now, I've been saying this shit since I've been coming here since the 90s. Remember I said there's a different brand of Negro in South Carolina? Yeah. I want to ask you what state does this motherfucking thing get shaped like?
That's why I kept looking at you.
Look. They talking about you. You the Superman from the star Sirius. Okay, let's roll. Let me show you something right quick. I had to get brand new pair. I bought 2 pairs. I didn't want to had a pair that I had put on my ass. Go to Walmart. Get the Superman cap. Man of Steel. Man of Steel. Who is the African Man of Steel? Osun. That's our shit. Go to what you call it and get you some of these. Especially the ones you little women you don't work no more. Just get you one of these. It's a brand new pair. I bought 2 pair. You see what I'm saying? I had these in the drawer. So get you, go to Walmart. They got Superman t-shirts. They got Superman hats. Get anything Superman. You women can get this. But you know, they came out with these women drawers like this in the 80s. So you can get a man's pair now because they got women underwear that look like this. So you can even get you a pair. Just get your pair that fit. But get these. Now you brothers, get you a pair of these. And then go get you a can of Steel Reserve beer. It's called Steel Reserve beer. And see what might happen. The Superman they're talking about was from Sirius. Now they just got through with 10 years of Smallville. Smallville is the story that came out after 9/11 on Superman growing up in a small town, his boyhood. And they went from his boyhood out of high school up until they graduate college, up until they're grown. And they just ended it this spring. They just ended it this spring. Now, the Smallville. Well, that's 10 years of box sets. So what I suggest is, if you got these pawn shops, you go to these pawn shops, you can buy box sets, for real cheap. I don't know, do they have a Cash America here? They don't have that in here. But you can get the Cash America pawn shop. Yeah, you go there, you can get the box sets, 10 years of the TV shows, but they just ended up Superman as he grew into the adult. The last season was started in September, ended in May. The last season they showed who Superman was. Lois Lane went to an Egyptian exhibit. This is in the show Smallville. Went to an Egyptian exhibit and got a hold to a necklace that she was possessed by Osun or Isis. She went to this exhibit and they had the remains of Osiris, the ashes or something, in a canopic jar. And somehow she was strong enough to get Superman on the table, lock him down in a sarcophagus, and do a ritual to restore the body of Osiris to Superman. Now, of course, the ritual, they got halfway, they go, no, that ain't what they do. When they do the ritual took place and it was successful. What they was trying to say is Superman is the risen Osiris in the last Smallville. And who is Osiris? Osiris is the god of the perfect black. So when they was talking about Superman, they was talking about the star Sirius, which is called the soul of Isis, and the Greek word for Sirius is Osiris also. You see what I'm saying? And then you have Orion's belt. And the brightest star in the heavens is Sirius. You got 3 stars on Orion's belt, which represents 3 pyramids of Giza Plateau. But the brightest star is Sirius. And the Dogon say that the Nomos, the fish people, is coming back from Sirius, and when they come back, we will be ready. And that's the reason why we had the Gulf oil spill disaster, to stop the return of the Nomo and give us the final solution of death. What's that, brother?
The Superman thing, it is spiritual because every white one they put on the Superman costume, when they got killed, got in an accident.
I got in an accident. I got in an accident. Yeah. Yeah. So, Huh? Yeah. You better, yeah. You can get the go to Walmart or Target. You get the T-shirts. You can get the drawers. This shit say Man of Steel. I said that's so good. You get you this Man of Steel drawer, and then get you some Steel Reserve beer. See what happens. Damn some Viagra. But the women buy you some Man of Steel drawers. You see? You see? So just letting you know what time it is. Okay. Let me see here. How much you want to go before a break?
We got 49 minutes.
49 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, can we roll something out? Like I said, again, I'm going to go into some stuff. Let me see stuff that we can cover right now. Now, this is interesting because like C. Freeman used to say that your pirates were the Moors. You see? All that they were the Moors. They literally took a people's history. After they got officers from Spain, they got on ships and stopped, dealing with people. So that whole Moorish thing. You see, even the last little Pirates of the Caribbean, they had a little voodoo thing in it, a little voodoo doll and stuff like that. Making Jack Sparrow do shit based on them moving the doll and all this type of stuff. But that was your Moors. You see what I'm saying? Is what that was. I just wanted to put that there to let you know that in actuality we got to revise so much history. You see, we got to revise so much doggone history and all, of things that's actually happening here. Give me some other questions right quick. Anybody?
On YouTube, they were showing that we now have 2 suns, 2 moons, and we have a new Earth.
Second Earth.
A second Earth.
Yeah.
Nothing about that.
Well, let me tell you how this thing goes down, and this is why you gotta, you gotta try to understand how the government does stuff. That's the most important thing. All that stuff that you're seeing out there is happening inside of us.
Yeah.
So if there's the 2 moons, 2 Earths, and all that kind of stuff, that is stuff that's coming on the inside of us, with our DNA changing. Just like I said, this guy got shot in the damn head. Got shot in the back of the head, point blank range. And the bullet didn't even pierce his skull. That's the return of the gods. You see, that's the return of the gods. You see what I'm saying? And so it's just interesting here on how if anything that is happening out there, you gotta trace it back to what's going on the inside of our body. Now, you remember this preacher guy said that the world was supposed to end in April.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? May, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, he calculated some wrong stuff, but they always do. But I remember they said that there was some stuff supposed to happen on 12/12/1994. So when it came down, I was looking for some stuff to happen. And it didn't happen. But what the transmission said was, there's things that's happening all the time, not necessarily because it didn't register in the physical. It didn't happen. Now what happened maybe a day after that, when the preacher said that it's supposed to end on May, in May. Didn't they have a damn tornado come down to Joplin, Texas, and wipe that shit off the map? You see? So he got some calculations right. Now, if you're in Joplin, Texas, your world is ended. See what I'm saying? Now, he also calculated this. He said, well, there's 2 days. He said one was in May, and the other one was on October the 21st. Remember he said that? Okay. He came back and said that. By October the 21st, it's supposed to be the second half of that. Well, let's turn to, in this book, the Goddess Book of Days. This book is a must-have if you can get this book off of the internet, by Diane Stein. The Goddess Book of Days. The Goddess Book of Days. So, I mean, any day you want, you can look up here and find out what goddess is ruling over that day. Then you can go to the internet and look up, if you don't know nothing about the god, you can look up and see what the attributes are, and you can see what days, what energies you dealing with. You see what I'm saying? So this is a must-have. It's the Goddess Book of Days. It's out of print. This is a hardback cover. I don't know how much they can sell this for anything on the internet now. But they got softback covers. You know, you might get $14, $20, or what have you. Let's go to the Goddess Book of Days and see October the 21st. Now, here again, I'm not advocating there's nothing going to happen, because when you're reading this stuff, I'm going to tell you how it's supposed to be reading. When he said in April the world was supposed to end, and it didn't end in the physical, you see, there's some stuff that is ending inside of the body. There's certain things that is going on. The body is going through an apocalypse. The original apocalypse that they talk about in the Bible was originally some shit that was going on, or different chemicals, different stones, different 7 seals with the 7 chakras, different things that's coming back online in the body. So if you're looking outwardly, you don't get it. You see what I'm saying? This shit here just gonna disappear. Like a twinkling of an eye. You see? That's what them cats is going through, them dimensions in them trees right now. That's why people are walking down the damn street and they come up missing. 300,000 of them. That's in your Ebony magazine. Let me show you the thing right here. I got it right here. I got it right here. This is the one we talking about. Got it right here. This is the Ebony magazine. Jumping the Broom. That was May 2011. Okay. You get the article of what page? Here it is. Nearly, this is the article. Nearly 300,000 people of color went missing last year. Then they talk about this. Silica Barnes is one of those 3. They were talking about the article only dealt with one case of one girl. But what's happening here is what they can't understand is the people are missing because these people walk down the street and they find themselves in other dimensions. Now it's very interesting here because they talk about Croatoan, which later on we call Croatans. Croatans is a triracial looking Indian people. They say most of them amalgamated into life in southern North Carolina. We used to live up the street from one in Mullins. But they said that there was these Indians in Roanoke, Virginia that went missing. You see, went missing, and they call it Croatoans or Croatan. And they just went, yeah.
They also got missing in North Carolina too.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And stuff. So this is this particular land. But the point I'm trying to make here is, when I first went to Atlanta, I was working for Martin Luther King Jr. on his campaign. On his campaign, I was working for Martin Luther King Jr. So we have to get on these trucks and go around all these little shopping centers where all the black people congregated, and get them and advertise, try to get the vote out for Martin Luther King Jr. thing. It was a real big thing. And we went by this shopping center, and there were so many black people on Saturdays that you couldn't count them. I mean, it's just this teeming of black people all everywhere. We go by the same shopping center on a Saturday now, and there's hardly nobody there. The point I'm trying to make here is that some of the people are disappearing out of these communities because they're slipping off into spiritual dimensions. So maybe when they say that black people are in depression era, there's some disappearing going on. That's why the movie, you got to see the movie Vanishing on 7th Street. You can go get it from Netflix or wherever you go get movies from now.
They even have that at the library.
You got, okay, yeah. Y'all got the bootleg thing still going down here?
No, we don't have that here. Our government won't allow it.
That I'm telling you, that shit was coming from Russia. Be in your DVD player before the movie starts. So let's look at the 21st and see what's happening, what God. And for some reason, this particular day, the gods line up. Most of it's the goddesses, but this particular day. Okay, October 21st, Feast of the Black Christ in Panama. The people don't know that they worship the Black Christ in Panama, Puerto Rico, and in Central and South America, they worship a Black Christ called El Cristo Negro. Feast of the Black Christ in Panama and the Virgin Islands. Now, this is the lineup. These are all the Christ figures. You think Jesus is one. Jesus is just a name, you see what I'm saying, explaining these ones that really existed in history. Well, really existed in you. You see what I'm saying? As Christ figures. So he is Obatala, that's Africa. Apollo, Adonis, Osiris, Horus, Quetzalcoatl, Baal, Dionysus, Damballa, Shango, Dumuzi, Tammuz, and another Slavic moon goddess. But the point they're trying to make here is, this is a day that all these Christ figures line up outside of Christianity. This preacher don't know nothing about this. You see what I'm saying? But every Christ figure that existed in the ancient world, you see, line up. Now we all know, here's the other trick, that the Christ is ultimately talking about the inner workings of your DNA. And they're talking about alignments. You see what I'm saying? In the inner workings of your DNA. You see. So, in so many words, what they're saying on the 21st, some stuff going to align in you. You see. And the Christ is, remember now, this is the funny part about the Christ thing. The Christ thing is always, the Christ figure is always a dual entity. There cannot be a Christ not unless there's two sides, a male and female, coming together. That's what the Christ is. So we're still talking about our essence as both male and females in us. You see, it's a twofold system. Of male and female energies lining up. And basically that's what makes the Christ. You see, so it can't be just one man. You see what I'm saying? It's talking about some stuff that's innate inside of your body and your DNA. When you got those two strands of DNA, one is masculine, one is feminine. That's why you got in voodoo, you got Damballa Wedo, Ada Wedo. You see, so in Ada Wedo is the feminine and Damballa is the masculine, but they also represent two aspects of the same half, or two essence of the same half. You see what I'm saying? Y'all all right? Okay. I'm trying to get through some stuff. So when you wanna go to the break?
Got 36 minutes left on this tape.
Okay, well, let's see here. All right, well, let's go into some question and answer, because I'm trying to save something for the final solution on not what they're going to do, what they've already put in place. And we're going to go into that. What's that, sister?
How you doing, Bobby? I love you, by the way.
All right.
Me and my grandmother, we were having a conversation about the development of babies. And she was telling me that, when she was coming up, she remembered when babies took about 2 weeks to open their eyes, like a week to 2 weeks to open their eyes after being born. And she was like, now, they're being born, holding their neck up and, and really advanced. Does that have anything to do with the DNA changing?
Yeah, that is. Because especially when a lot of black babies do stuff that white babies can't do. Because we're just so far ahead on that track. on that particular level and stuff. So yeah, that is a sign of the return of the gods. That is a sign of the return of the gods when you see babies doing things, and not only that, their thought patterns of what they would say and do now. You wouldn't have dared even thinking that way when you was a child. You say, how can they think this way? The only thing about it here is the government already know that they're advanced, so what they try to do is to put as much negative stuff going on with them and foolishness, you see, that they can offset that genius. You see, that's why most geniuses are like 2 steps off from being serial killers. Based on, especially if it's got a high level of genius and specialties, that's the one that you have to harness and keep disciplined, otherwise it can go astray. So that's what they're doing with these children, because they call it the what was it, the rainbow children, crystal children, and we in the crystal children now. What was it? It was indigo.
The star children, rainbow.
Yeah, and the crystal children are now. So those are the ones that they have to really. That's why they really go after the foolishness. I'll put you in this sea of ignorance. You see, that's why they give you a BET, which should be Black Entertainment Disgrace, or whatever. Yeah, what's that?
Extermination TV.
Yeah.
What about the movie like it's called The Noise, Nicolas Cage? And at the end of the movie they got the children.
They get the children to get, right.
Yeah, they got.
And the children was in something called a field. You saw it, the wheat field.
Yeah.
That's called a field of reeds. That's supposed to be heaven to the Egyptians.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing there. What's that, brother?
Yeah, to piggyback on what she was saying, this is an observation. Someone that worked in a hospital told me that they actually marvel at the black children. I'm talking about the doctors now. And they said that the black female is the strongest, has no problems. And they got a term. The white folk and the black folk got this term. It's like a medical term, but they use it. And it's called the wimpy white boy syndrome. Whites and blacks use this I couldn't believe this when I was hearing it. But she said the white folk use this.
Yeah.
This is a sister telling me this, that work in the hospital.
That's why even in the Harry Potter movies, the little girl, the girl is smarter than both of them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And Bell Hooks, the black feminist, said that. You see what I'm saying, and all like that. So even on that, they're trying to say, on that particular level, as far as how they can marvel behind what they can do. And so basically, what happens here is that's what happens with a patriarchal society. They want to breed all of that out of that female. You see, out of that particular female and stuff. You see, on that particular level. So yeah, that's very interesting. Give me some questions.
Since we're talking about the sisters, can you comment on that article written by that Oriental psychiatrist that made these very disgraceful statements about the African woman, her being least desirable, and all of this stuff that was done in scientific magazines?
That's all the way around.
But then again, that's all a part of the design too. That's all part of the design too. It's interesting here because, like I said, they just had that earthquake in Japan. But it was the Japanese that said in 1986 that the problem with America was black people in it. Huh? Yeah, when they said that on TV. So my point here is just, what's that?
How does the radiation from Japan affects us spiritually?
I'm going to go into that in the second half because that has something. Yeah, it does. It's already affecting the people in Italy. Now, as far as radiation itself, they dropped a lot of the test sites when it was testing a lot of the bombs in the 50s and the 40s was near black areas. And nothing never happened. Nothing. Our Melanin sucked that shit up like it wasn't nothing. You see what I'm saying? Remember the movie Mars Invade or Mars Attack? And they shot the radiation and they took it and put it in a balloon and sucked that shit and got high with it. So with us it might, it might open up something, just like the crack babies. The crack babies, I don't know, down here with the ones in Atlanta, the crack babies was out. They were out testing everything in the school system. So it opened up something latent, with the crack babies. Now I met one mom and dad that we was both on crack and our child wasn't that way. I said, you gotta have something to start with in the first place. What's that?
Right on that crack baby thing, UCLA did a test in 1994 on a crack baby, and they revisited that baby 5 years later.
Yeah.
And the baby didn't have HIV and none of that, and they found out that a couple of strands of DNA have reconnected, and they said that baby's not even human by DNA measurement.
Now, because what they did is they sped up the process of the God gene.
Right.
You see, so this radiation thing, when it comes to us, it can have a whole nother effect. You see what I'm saying? It can have a whole nother effect. Unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately, like I say, we need some radiation on us, but it's not coming to. They have some trails of it. It's coming here, but it really messes. Like I said, it's still over in that part of the world. But whatever little bit that did come here through the Pacific or what have you and stuff, it might be something. It might be something that can put us into the God realm. Just like that guy that got shot in the head and the bullet didn't pierce his wound. It didn't pierce his brain. Now how's somebody gonna put a gun to the back of your head and it'll only break the skin? See what I'm saying? Now this is interesting here because now Farrakhan said something years ago in the 1985 Power Tour. He said, if our slave went to war with you openly, come with us, if you go to war with your slave, he said, we went to war with the government openly, we will win. Now it's interesting because the brother Andrew Brown, the same one that told me about the other day about the guy getting shot in the back of the head and it just broke his skin. He said that the guy, what's the name, White House staff, Chief of White House, whatever the cat name was, Rahm Emanuel, left Obama to go to Chicago to run for mayor. Okay? Soon as he got in the mayor, he brought a black head of police. I don't know if it's black or white. He brought a head of police from New Jersey to Chicago to be the head of the police. Now the first thing they say when you become mayor in a major city with black people, the first thing they say is you got to meet with the head of the police to find out how you going to contain the black problem. So Rahm Emanuel brought in this guy from New Jersey. And the guy ordered, the head of police ordered armor-piercing bullets and guns and bullets that pierce armor to a regular city. Yeah, as to say that they're getting ready to go after some people, or they're getting ready to go after some people just like the guy that got shot in the head and the shit didn't pierce his brain. It didn't pierce the skull. So apparently, this guy that got shot in the head last Tuesday, they are expecting more of these black people that's going to become invincible. So they got to get armor-piercing bullets just to shoot at them. You see? So when Farrakhan said in 1985, if we went to war with you, we would win, because they're talking about producing something when we are openly challenged. That's why they have to come in, put the soy and all the stuff in the grocery store. You see what I'm saying? Other than to fight you openly, they got to do all kind of tactics. They got to do all kind of tactics. So what I want to do now. All right. We on? Yes. Okay, let's see where we're going to go here. I want to deal with the final solution. And this is the part of why I actually came here to Columbia this time. I had to take a lot of time off this winter to go through a lot of transformations. A lot of stuff happening, you know. That's why when I went back out on the road, they couldn't pick me up in that radar because I was for 4 months. You see, certain things start happening. We're going through different things within our bodies and stuff. And sometimes you got to take a break just to see on what's going on. So sometimes if you don't have a job, you got to get it out of your head that you are a failure.
That's right.
Because the real people that run this world don't work. So if you're living with your mama, if you still got a mama alive, and you fortunate to live with her, don't look at that as a failure. Because you can catch up on a lot of things spiritually by not working. You see what I'm saying? Like that. This is no excuse to go and quit your job. You see what I'm saying? You know, but my point here is, you know, you must not fall over and start jumping out the windows because you don't have no money. You see, so that's some things that you need to deal with. Now let me get into a few things on what's happening here, and then I'll give you the reason why the government has struck out against us. Last year, BP sold all their stock. All the head of BP sold all of their stock before the oil spill. Now we know the oil spill was in the movie Knowing with Nicolas Cage a year before it's supposed to happen. So they blew the rig. They blew the rig. And you saw for 4 months or 5 months this oil gushing out of this pipe. Gushing out of this pipe. Then they said that BP was the only people who would be allowed to clean up the oil spill. It wasn't what was gushing out of the pipe, because they could have capped it the first day. But they had to create the sensationalism and put the oil in the water. Put the oil in the water. So it wasn't the oil that was in the water. It's what BP put in the water in the dispersants, which is supposed to clean up the oil spill, called correxin. Correxin. You need to go on the internet and look up correxin. Let me see if I can find something. How you can spell this thing. How you can spell it. If I can find something on how you can spell this correxin. correction. Let me see here. C-O-R-E-X-T. Now, so what we do to correct it is owned by BP. Now, what is this thing? It's the dispersants that is supposed to clean up the oil. Now, in dealing with this correction, they blew the oil well so that they can get in, drop the correction in the water, and this correction is owned by BP, and BP is half owned by the Queen of England, British Petroleum. Now, they started this in the 1990s in Africa. In the 1990s in Africa, they dropped this correction in the waters in Africa and was killing 70,000 people a month and calling it AIDS. No such thing as AIDS.